These are Britain's counties. Some people think Britain's historic counties disappeared decades ago. But they didn't. People believe that when new council areas were created, the traditional counties were replaced. But that isn't actually what happened. While governments created new administrative areas, the historic counties themselves never disappeared. The historic counties of Britain still form the country's enduring geographical framework. So what exactly are historic counties, and why do they still matter today? For centuries, Britain has been divided into counties. These counties developed gradually during the Anglo-Saxon period and became the basic framework of local geography and identity. Names like Yorkshire, Midlothian, Tyrone and Meirionnydd are not modern inventions. They have existed for hundreds of years. Over time, these counties shaped judicial systems, cultural identity, and even sport and tradition. Most importantly, they formed a stable geographical framework for the country. This framework is what we now call the historic counties. The confusion began in the 20th century. From the 1960s onwards, governments reorganized local administration in order to manage growing towns and cities. New council areas were created, boundaries were drawn and redrawn, and in some cases entirely new administrative areas were invented. Names such as Avon, Strathclyde, and Dyfed appeared. But these were administrative units, created to run local services. They were not intended to replace the historic counties. Unfortunately, over time the distinction became blurred. Many people assumed that when administrative boundaries changed, the traditional counties had been abolished. In reality, something quite different had happened. To understand the issue properly, it helps to think of two different types of counties. First, the historic counties. These are the long-established geographical counties of Britain, whose boundaries were settled centuries ago. Second, administrative areas. These are modern units created by government for practical purposes, councils, services, and local governance. Administrative areas can change frequently. The historic counties do not. This is similar to how parliamentary constituencies change regularly, but the country itself remains the same. The historic counties form the underlying geography, while administrative areas sit on top of them. Despite administrative changes, the historic counties continue to exist as the country's traditional geographic divisions. They still appear in many places: county societies, sports teams, historic institutions, cultural traditions, and everyday identity. Many people still identify strongly with their historic county, even when local government boundaries have changed. In recent decades, there has also been renewed interest in understanding and preserving this traditional geography. Organizations such as the Historic Counties Institute and Campaign for Historic Counties have worked to clarify the distinction between historic counties and modern administrative areas. The historic counties matter because they provide continuity. They connect modern Britain with centuries of local history and identity. They also provide a consistent geographical framework that remains meaningful, even as administrative structures change. Understanding the historic counties helps explain why places belong to particular regions, how local identities developed, and how Britain's geography evolved over time. Rather than being relics of the past, the historic counties remain part of the country's living cultural landscape. In summary, Britain's historic counties were never abolished. Modern administrative areas may come and go, but the historic counties remain the country's enduring geographical framework. They continue to shape local identity, heritage, and the way many people understand the places they live. If you'd like to discover which historic county you're standing in, you can explore the interactive map at realcounties.com. And if you're interested in Britain's historic geography, consider subscribing for more videos exploring the counties, their boundaries, and the stories behind them. Finally, many towns today are still widely believed to belong to the wrong county. In the next video, we'll look at some of the places people most often get wrong.